Hey, welcome in. Start of hour number 3 on this Wednesday. I'm Brian Sommerfield with Trucker Randy. We are your Defending Fathers. Facebook chat is open, as always, on both of our personal ones, as well as Your Defending Fathers. Phone lines are open as well. Start out this segment again with a phone call. I believe this ties the record. Most phone calls we've had in a week. That's just today.
Well, one of the stories on Facebook this morning by one of our listeners, Sherry Wiggins over in Onaway, she put a posting of a story on her Facebook page, and I opened it up and started reading it. And I said, okay, we've got to get this guy on the phone and find out what the heck's going on down there in Mount Pleasant. Joining us is Ted. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Ted, how do you say your last name?
Visner.
Visner. The story talks about you and your family had bought a home on a land contract. Why don't you just start at the very beginning and kind of quickly work us through the purchase of the home to begin with?
Okay, we negotiated the purchase of our home from a gal that works for the Sheriff's Department down here in Mount Pleasant, Isabella County Sheriff's Department, and we've been making payments as agreed, and apparently she'd not been paying the underlying mortgage, and the home went into foreclosure. Instead of the gal losing the house to the bank in a foreclosure that we were completely unaware of, she listed and sold the property again through a realtor, and then used the Sheriff's Department to force us out of our home and kept the contents.
The story talks about you had gone away for the weekend to basically, your family went out of town, and
right.
you weren't at the house, and it sounds like this deputy sheriff that was actually the employee for the Sheriff's Department, the owner, deed holder to the property, she just basically opened up your house and had all her friends from the county and the Sheriff's Department just come in and steal all your stuff.
That's exactly what happened.
All of your personal belongings, everything?
95% of the contents that were in our home were stolen, looted by Sweet and her friends.
Now, you estimated the value of the contents that were taken was about $55,000.
That's pretty conservative replacement cost value, yes.
I mean, because you're talking beds, dressers, appliances, your wife's wedding dress that was in a sealed bag, your kids' toys, sports equipment. Did you have any firearms or guns in the home at the time?
No, we didn't have any firearms in the home.
Okay, so they didn't steal guns. But bottom line is, you guys come back from being out of town, you come home, and you try to, unlock the door to go inside your house. Well, what happened?
Well, we returned home on Monday to find that the locks had been changed, and my wife and I owned several properties at the time, and many of them were rented out to other people, and we were very well versed, I guess you would say, in the landlord-tenant rules, and knew that our lockout was unlawful and called the police.
You called the Sheriff's Department that actually did this, that perpetrated this against you. What did they say to you guys?
Well, the homeowner was the first to respond. The woman we bought the home from was the first to respond to our 911 call, which was held for over an hour so she could get off of work, change into civilian clothes, and meet us at the property as if she weren't part of the Sheriff's Department to begin with.
Mm-hmm. And so she came over to the house, and what did she say to you guys?
Well, she came there, and the deputy arrived, and the deputy told us that we would be leaving peacefully or by arrest, but that one way or the other we'd be leaving our own property, and still not fully understanding the bias we were working against. I thought I could clear this up rather easily by making a trip to the Sheriff's Department, and I did, and after we were forced to leave, and the Sheriff's Department immediately went into self-preservation mode and claimed the deputy had done nothing wrong. And after I was initially greeted fairly well by the undersheriff, John Tellis. He took me back into his office, and after I had explained that I don't like complaining, but I had to share with him what was going on. He issued me back out to the lobby where he had me wait while he looked into our situation, and he came out to the lobby shaking my complaint in his fist and said my deputy had done nothing wrong, and then he sat down next to me and told me to talk to the prosecutor, who told him if we could prove we'd not been evicted, we should be able to get our house back, which is kind of completely ridiculous because the burden of proof wasn't ours, it was theirs for having done what they did.
Well, one question, I want to back up a little bit from my experience in mortgage real estate is when a bank begins foreclosure of a property, one of the first things that they have to do is post a notice on the property itself, and usually it's taped with duct tape or some kind of way to fasten it to the front door of the property. Are you saying that the bank that was the underlying mortgage company that never got payment from your seller, you guys were making your payments to her, but she then wasn't paying the bank, are you saying they never actually posted a foreclosure notice on your property?
No, we never saw a foreclosure notice on the property or even in the newspaper.
So by statute, they have to advertise it for 6 weeks in the legal news of your local county paper. That was never done either?
I don't believe that it was. We were completely in the dark about her foreclosure and the time that she had
to redeem it. Right. Because that's 180 days after the sheriff's sale. Let me ask you this question. Have you retained an attorney on this matter?
Well, we had one for a time. We were unable to find one for what would have been the lapse of our statute of limitations period, so I filed an action myself ignorantly in the same county that the sheriff's department is a part of.
Yeah, that's not good.
So basically, we've been spinning our wheels legally. We've found lawyers that were willing to work for a monthly commitment of $25,000, but that really hasn't been an option for us.
No, I don't think so. There's some folks out of, I believe, Ann Arbor is the Thomas Law Center. I have a friend that this sounds like basically to me a violation of a due process and your guys' rights per that land contract. Was that land contract ever recorded?
It was not recorded.
Okay, so the bank had no idea that you even had a vested interest in the property.
Right, but we did tell the realtor that agreed to list the property for the seller that we had purchased the property and provided him a copy of our contract, and he out of hand just ignored it, that it was not valid.
Well, there is insurance that his broker is responsible for maintaining. It's called errors and omissions insurance. And you may have some remedy against the real estate broker that if you told him, put him on constructive notice that you had a claim of interest via the land contract in this property, if he neglected to act on that notice and went ahead and sold the property without acknowledging your interests, there might be a potential for a lawsuit against the real estate broker as well as the county. It sounds like you guys just basically got taken advantage of.
Well, we certainly did. I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but Shelley Sweet, by getting other members of the sheriff's department involved, I mean, basically created what could only be considered the perfect crime. I mean, once several members of the same sheriff's department were made or brought into possession of stolen property, is probably why the sheriff never helped us.
Now, is there a new prosecuting attorney in that county now?
There is. After Larry Burdick was the last prosecutor, he's named in our suit because he failed to recognize our claim against the county law enforcement, the Isabella County Sheriff's Department.
Wouldn't this have to go to another county? I mean, how could you have a county involved in its own investigation?
Well, that's part of the problem, and it goes all the way up to the Michigan Attorney General, who states on his website, Bill Schuette says that if we're not happy or we have a complaint or need to report police misconduct or police crime, we need to do it through that agency. And if that doesn't work, we're supposed to go through the county prosecutor. But provides no remedy if neither of those two options work. Bill Schuette's office has been made fully aware of what's going on here, and we haven't gotten so much as a courtesy call.
Well, it just so happens I'm attending a fundraiser for Attorney General Bill Schuette this evening at State Senator Howard Walker's home in Traverse City. So I'll have an opportunity to ask him about it.
That'd be great.
Later this evening.
Can you stick around? We're real late for a break. Can you stick around for the next segment?
I sure can.
Okay. Stick around. More to come as this story unfolds. We are your defending fathers. Welcome back to the program. On this Wednesday, 23 minutes after the hour, I'm Brian Sommerfield along with Trucker Randy, and we are your defending fathers. Got a story earlier today from a listener that has a former member of our armed forces in the Navy, Ted Visner, who down, I believe it's the Midland area that this took place.
Central Michigan.
Central Michigan, okay. In Central Michigan area, where he had a house that he was purchasing on a land contract. Turned out that the payments weren't being made on the other side. He was forced out of his home. All of his possessions were pretty much, we'll say for the most part, stolen out of it. And the problems that he's had since then. And when did this originally take place?
September 27th, 2010.
Wow,
one of the comments I got, Brian, on Facebook, one of the listeners said, if you couldn't get any satisfaction with your local sheriff, did you contact the state police?
Oh, absolutely. Not just the police post in Mount Pleasant, but the district command post in Rockford, and I even contacted the Michigan State Police Post headquarters, Christy. I forget her last name right now, but...
What did the state police say?
Absolutely nothing. They weren't interested in getting involved in anything having to do with any other law enforcement branch. It was taboo to them to think about interacting in a complaint against another agency, a law enforcement agency.
So initially, you hired an attorney, you filed a lawsuit. In this story, they talk about a deposition. Did you actually propose the seller?
I filed a lawsuit myself on the one-year anniversary in order to preserve the statute of limitations, being unable to find an attorney to represent us. And since that time, I've been operating the best I can with the knowledge that I have. I'm a home builder, not a lawyer. And I think I've been doing fairly well, with the exception that we've asked the county to preside over a case against the county. So there's a tremendous amount of bias against us in that court, and we've asked for a change of venue to get it into a federal court, and that, of course, was denied. So we're just doing the best we can, and I just told the story is 2.5 years old now, and just in the last couple of days, we're starting to get some press on the internet through Facebook and other social media, and just now finally starting to get some attention here. And a lot of calls have been pouring in all over the country. By a lot, I mean more than in the past, because our phones have been dead for about 2.5 years. Sheriff Leo Manischewski told the Morning Sun newspaper, which is the Mount Pleasant newspaper here, that We were just upset because we'd been evicted, which is a complete flat-out lie. And it's pretty much killed our story right out of the gate. Obviously, if we'd been evicted, there's no story here. But we were not evicted. And
Chad, do you have all your canceled checks that you paid to this Shelley Suite?
Yes, we do.
And you've got documentation that you paid those payments on time?
Yes.
Well,
yeah, we have images of the checks themselves.
Okay. And I just want to clarify, because I am going to go to this event tonight in Traverse City, Mount Pleasant, and that's, I want to confirm, is that Isabella County?
Isabella County, yes.
Okay. And the township, where is the property actually located?
Well, it's a Mount Pleasant address, 829 East Walton, Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
Oh, it is Mount Pleasant. Okay, so are you within the city limits?
Well, the house itself was not in the city limit.
What township?
I believe it's Union Township.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to bring it to Bill Schuete's attention just to find out, because this is not a story that I think the Attorney General wants to start getting more traction during an election cycle. He's up for re-election. And it sounds like this county sheriff's department, now, have they also changed the sheriff, not just the prosecutor, but do they have a new sheriff as well?
No, actually, I was the only candidate running against the current seated sheriff, who's now serving a third term. I lost by 8%.
Wait a minute. You're telling me you were when were you challenging him, in 2010?
This last election.
2012.
2012.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe this was political retribution for you running against him in 2010.
No, the election's already passed. I was trying to position myself to take care of some problems that I've seen from the sheriff's department, from the county.
It sounds like they got a lot of problems down there.
Well, they do, and my campaign efforts uncovered a lot more. I thought I knew a lot, but I found out that I only knew part of it.
You had people come out of the woodwork telling you stories on condition not to bring them into it, but here's what you need to know, didn't you?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, we know all about that.
We know all about that.
All right. Well, listen, Ted, I'm going to follow up with Bill Schuete tonight at this event, and we're going to keep in touch. I appreciate Sherry bringing this to our attention, having you on the show with us. So we'll be calling you back and sharing more information with you and our listeners regarding what happened to your family.
I really appreciate it, and I want to thank you guys, and I'm free to talk to you anytime you'd like.
Okay, thank you. We're also going to post the story that you had on our Your Defending Fathers page as well, so you can